Hey there, welcome to Yoga Detour. I'm Cecily, I'll be your instructor today. We're going to be delving into core work today. I'm going to take you through a sequence that I teach all of my clients. It's perfect for beginners, but it's also a great workout for anyone who is a seasoned athlete. So I look forward to seeing you back here on the mat. Okay, so we're going to find a comfortable place and start lying down on the back. We're just going to rest the hands on the abdomen here and start by paying attention to the breathing. Looking for the inhalation and just watching where that breath goes in your body. And with the hands resting on the abdomen, notice if you can feel the breath moving into your belly. And if you wonder if that breath would be rising a little higher up into your chest, it might be helpful to place a hand right there over the heart and just notice if there's more movement up top in the chest, or if you're able to keep the movement a little more central toward the abdomen. Just take a couple breaths there on your own. And then keeping in mind as we start moving here and engaging through the abdominals, that we don't want to get to the point where the breath feels stressed. So throughout the course of these exercises, I want you to remain connected to how you're feeling, take breaks whenever you need to, and not to push toward the extreme where you start to feel like you're holding your breath or again, forcing it higher up into the chest, which can cause some stress. All right, so after your next exhalation, the idea is going to be to try and drive a little bit less space between you and the mat. So right into that lower back area, I'm thinking about lowering my front body. But notice the difference here. I'll let you see my hips. I don't want to feel like I'm pushing so much that my hips curl up off the floor. So instead, I relax for a moment, breathing in. And then as I'm exhaling, I start to think about just slowly lowering the lumbar part of my spine, the lower back, toward the mat, but not in a forceful way. Okay, so see if you can find just that feeling of contact with the floor. And we're going to maintain that contact and still breathe. And then maintaining all of that awareness through the core of the body, I'm going to press into my left foot and lift up the right leg, keeping it at 90 degrees. And then the right leg will come back down to the floor with control, and the left will lift up. Just keep going side to side here, and notice if there's any kind of shifting happening in your pelvis, happening in your back. The idea is to keep things as stable as possible, starting to use a muscle deep down in the abdomen called the transverse abdominis, or the TVA. And then the next time your right leg is up in the air, let's hold it there. So the knees just over top of the hip, and then we're going to bring the left one up to join it. And if moving into that position already feels like a lot for you to hold on to, we want to make sure here that holding can just be our task for today. You don't have to move beyond this if it feels like this is enough. If this is feeling all right, then you might explore shifting your right heel back down towards the mat. But notice as I'm doing this, I'll go to the left side now, I'm not just dropping my heel and letting my knee bend more. I'm maintaining that 90-degree angle so that I feel a little bit more demand on my abs with the lowering of the leg. But what I want to watch out for is that as that heel lowers, I'm not allowing that big space to move into my back again. Instead, I want to keep the contact there with the floor as the heel lowers down toward the ground. So if going all the way down isn't possible without the space coming in, just stop a little sooner. Shorten the range, finding the right version of the movement for you, where you can keep going and maintain that initial alignment that we established. Some of you might feel like you want to go a little further with that heel. The further your heel reaches forward, the straighter the leg gets. And again, the more difficulty there may be in terms of holding that back down to the floor. Okay? The last thing I'll ask you to notice before we take a break is that I'm not pulling my opposite knee in toward my chest as one heel goes forward. I'm really paying attention to keeping that one leg stacked right over top of my hip. Let's just do one more. Come back to that tabletop, and then I'll bring my right leg down to stay, and my left. Let's bring the hands back to the abdomen again and just take a few breaths. Noticing again where the breath is. If it's up there in the chest, let's try and bring it down a little bit. A little more of a relaxation breath into the tummy. Good. I'm going to start to take the arms back again. And I'm positioning my arms here just in a way so I'm not really actively using them when I start to move the legs. So I'll take my breath in. Exhale down into the floor again. Lift up the right leg, flex the foot, lift up the left. And then from here, I'm going to explore how it feels to move the legs at the same time. It might be a very small movement. Looking for any kind of compensation. As the heels go down, does the head want to tip back? Do the ribs want to lift? Let's try and keep the spine, the head as neutral as possible. And just isolate that movement through the legs. Looking for that range where you might start to get a little bit of a shake happening just due to the effort that you're using. Let's just do 2 more of those. And then I'll float the left leg down and the right leg down, and again come back to my breathing. And if you feel like you need a longer rest, remember you can hit the pause button on here at any time. Go at your own pace. We're going to do 1 more exercise on our backs. Starting again with the breath, finding the exhalation, moving down into the floor with your back. I'll take the hands out of the way, float the left leg up, right leg up. And then this time, keeping that 90-degree angle, my hands are going to press into the tops of the thighs. I'm actively thinking of pulling my knees towards my chest, but at the same time, actively using my arms to push my legs forward. So the result is a really tremendous resistance, and the shaking is almost instant. We're just going to hold this 10 seconds. Pull those knees in. Press the knees forward. Try and straighten the elbows. And then slowly relax the resistance. Float that left foot down. Float that right foot down. And come back to your breath. And then from there, we're going to roll onto the side of the body. Setting ourselves up on an elbow. Lining up that elbow underneath the shoulder and then bending the knees about 90 degrees again so that the heels are lining up just underneath your hips. I'm going to keep my left hand here either right in front for some extra support, or you can have it resting on your hip. We're going to zero in on this underneath side, the obliques, those side abdominals. This is the movement we're looking for here. So just start with a little bit of movement in your rib cage, feeling those right ribs lift away from the mat and then lower. Then I'm going to tie that movement into my shoulder. So you can see as I kind of sink down, my shoulder lifts a little bit toward my ear. And I'm going to drive down through the elbow, down to the shoulder, and up and in through the rib cage. On the next one, can we carry that lift all the way up into the hips? And then lower the hips and lift again. Keeping in mind that as I'm lifting, my hips are staying stacked, as are my shoulders. And I'm bringing my awareness into this area of my body so that I'm making sure that that's where the work is coming from. It's not all about my arm. Okay, let's do 1 more. Pause it up there, hold and squeeze, and then slowly release down. Let's come up, just give that arm a little rest. Feel free to change sides, and then I'm going to show you how we can actually progress that exercise into different variations, and you can choose the one that works best for you. So if we stayed on the elbow, I could stretch out my legs and stagger the top foot in front. So now I'm going to change the amount of contact I have with the floor. As I find that lift, my hip lifts, but so does the rest of my leg. So now it's just about the feet and that right elbow on the floor. Okay? From there, if I feel like I can handle more range in the lift, I might place the hand down instead of the elbow. So arranging that wrist fairly close to the alignment of the shoulder, and then driving down through the floor to find that lift up again through the hip. Okay? The range from here to the bottom could be small, keeping the hand on the waist or reaching up. If I want a little bit more support, stepping that 1 foot forward, or going all the way down, all the way up. All the while keeping those shoulders in alignment as well as the hips. Again, taking your breaks in between sides and resting. Always coming back to the breath and noticing where you're feeling the work in your body, making sure that it's not affecting your back and not affecting your shoulders too much. We want to try and loosen up the areas where we don't need to be working and focus the work on the areas that we're really trying to target. Thanks so much for joining us today, guys. I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Following the Detour.